What is terrorism? Is that when a small minority, like Palestinians or, I don't know, Northern Irish people, when they throw a bomb into a cafe and kill innocent civilians? Is that terrorism? Or when supposed Muslim extremists are shooting around in a concert or driving on the street in the car and run over some random dudes? Is that terrorism? The media nowadays really thinks that ordinary people are stupid. Not only ordinary people. They think, or they make you believe, that the human species in general must be stupid somehow. Because they really want to make you believe that some random dudes risk their life for killing random people. I mean, what do they think they want to achieve with this kind of behavior? The most prominent act of terrorism in our age was the 9/11 event. Now, who benefited from this event? It wasn't some kind of Islamic extremist conspiracy that benefited from this. Right after 9/11, they shut down a lot of civil rights, privacy rights in the United States, and they instantly had a justification for more wars in the Middle East. So, if there's some kind of Islamic conspiracy or faction that did these attacks, I mean, if they are so intelligent to subvert the entire defense system of the United States and conduct these attacks in one of the most well-defended and well-supervised regions of Earth, couldn't they foresee that their actions would have absolutely detrimental consequences to their own movement, to the Middle East in general, to Islam in general? I don't know. I think they weren't that stupid. I think acts of violence against innocent civilians is not terrorism. I would suppose that people who conduct these acts are very intelligent, and they have a very specific goal with these attacks. They want to create certain political circumstances that they then want to benefit from. Now, what is real terrorism? Real terrorism is a kind of warfare, and it's very old. It is probably as old as ancient Persia, whatever. It's very old. You could look up the sect of the Assassins. Assassin's Creed is this video game about assassins. Assassins are not just killers and political killers. No, the assassins, assassini, I think was the ancient term. Assassini, I don't know if this word is Greek origin but it was a sect in ancient times, and it was, I think, some kind of cult, and they trained professional political killers. I don't know exactly a lot about this kind of story, but I know that professional assassination is very old, and it is a type of warfare that is used to forward a faction, to forward the political goals of a faction without going to actual war. You know, if you don't like the leadership of your neighbor state, you could mount an army and invade your neighbor state and change their ruler or become their ruler. But if you don't have the means to mount an army, if you are not even in the power, if you are some corporation or some other cult, some other faction, minor faction, and you want to change the leader of your neighbor state, if you benefit from this kind of action, then you can just assassinate the leader of your neighbor state, or any other politician for that matter. And political assassination, that is real terrorism. And its golden age was probably in the Tsar Russia, the 19th century, where communists, insurgents wanted to overthrow the Tsar, you know, futurist, utopian movements, socialism, communism, international-minded people wanted to overthrow the Tsar because they thought their idea were more progressive and more suitable for governing a country. And how did they overthrow the Tsar? They didn't go into a cafe or a restaurant and blew themselves up. No, they threw bombs at government officials. They shot ministers and administrators, and they shot these people in such quantity that at one point the Tsarist government did not have enough competent people anymore to run the country. And you know, the believers in communism always say, you know, the Tsarist government was so inefficient, and you know, there was a lot of poverty and problems in Russia. But what was the real reason for that? Was that really the government of the Tsar? Or was it the fault of the people who wanted to overthrow the Tsar and who waged war, terrorist war against the Tsar? That's debatable. But my point here is that real terrorism is not some random act of violence. Real terrorism is a type of asymmetric warfare to change the political landscape of a country, to overthrow a government, to take over a country. And it has been used very effectively, not only in Russia, also in the West. Just look up how many American presidents have been assassinated already in American history. That is terrorism. And the fact that lately in the West there were not many political assassinations, you know, not in the United States, not in France or Germany. And the reason for that is that the faction that used to conduct these kind of assassinations is in total control of the Western countries, so there's no need for terrorism anymore. And whenever they speak of terrorism in the media, you have to be very careful, because that's not terrorism, and it's definitely not conducted by a conspiracy or by some kind of you know, small faction or some kind of lunatic religious cult. No, this is probably conducted also by the people in power to further constrain the rights of the citizens and to gain more and more control over everything. Especially because, yeah, because nowadays there's a lot of, you know, how to call it in English, there's a lot of friction in society, you know, and that makes it necessary to control the population a little bit more. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on terrorism.